Welcome back to another week in the Altered TCG Tournament Results recap as provided to you by A Hero's Guide to Asgartha. I'm Chili, and today we'll be looking at the week ending 7th of September 2025 and the results we have seen in the main tournaments that as tracked online by 39cards.com. So the first one we have, as usual, we'll talk about AWOL Season 3 Week 12 on the 1st of September, clocking in the new year with a new tournament, and there were two winners that we had. We had DQ Aganman with the Trayston Rossum build and all of the marbles, going but with an Achardian Surge build going 6-0 as they prepare themselves for what is in store at the end of the week when we look at the results of the BGA qualifier for the Americas. So let's first have a look at Aganman's deck that they had. Very, very similar to what they've used in the past. If anything, it may exactly be the same as what they've done, though I do believe they've added the Gibble in here. Three Gibbles, really looking for this card to be played into reserve and playing out its benefit. If you have enough mana, then you will use the Gibble effect. It would be pretty useful. 3 Bug-Out Bags, 2 Kellon Cylinders, 1 Armored Jammer, 2 Haven Bastions. So really reducing the landmark count to what I had originally called was an optimal landmark count of 5. There is potential to go higher in this because of the benefits it gives you in an ongoing basis under Trayston Rossum. Of course, the main thing to look at, though, is what they've done on their uniques. And what we're seeing here a little bit is 1 Rare Gems and keeping 2 of the common kind. I run 3 Rare Gems myself, rather than having the potential of not being able to use it against something that is too heavy or too strong. The 3 hook to give them the ability of drawing some cards, a single avalanche to be used as a just in case as well. All right, then let's have a look at the 3 uniques. I am really interested in how they used an Athena, because I think Athena is a fantastic card that does not get much play, but we'll start with a Haven Bouncer. 3/3 for 3/1/3. When I leave the Expedition Zone, Sabotage, so that will occur twice, and also when played from reserve, you may put a card from your hand in reserve if you do draw a card. So this is the interaction that they're trying to have, given there isn't much in Axiom that is currently played. The Foundry Mechanic 2/2 for 1/0/0, and it gains 1 boost for each card in each player's reserve. The fantastic Anansi effect that extends beyond just what you've got. It goes into both. Potential to have at least 4 boosts every time it gets played for only 2 resources. Fantastic work. It also has a quick ability of the next permanent you play this afternoon costs 1 less, but why would you use it when you've got the ability of boosting so much? The Athena is 5/2 for 3/3/3, and when it's played from hand and from reserve, it gains a boost for each card in your reserve. So that is only on your side. It is a lot, though, if you look at it from a cost from hand. 5 for just 3/3/3, potentially 5/5/5 worth of stats. Not the way that Trayston Rossum is traditionally built. They want to play low to the ground in terms of its costs. But you would more than likely use the traced ability, play it from reserve and get it. And it says if you have controlled 2 or more landmarks, I lose fleeting, and you will have this over and over again. The potential of it, given it's one of the cards that is in reserve, if you do repeat this, you will be able to get 4/4/4 worth of stats for 3 resources. And if you want to potentially even get, for 2 resources, potentially get 5 worth of stats and more if you're able to have landmarks in play. And the reason I say 5 is if you play this out after doing the traced ability, you'll have 2 cards in reserve, so you get the double boost on top of what you can get from your landmarks. Fantastic card. I've spent a bit of time talking about it. I am in admiration of what it can do. Now, the next hero to go undefeated, the next pilot was all of the marbles. Once again, going with Achardi. He did win a tournament last week with Achardi, now doing it again here. Sorry, he came second last week with Achardi and looking and getting the win this time in the most difficult of all the tournaments. 3 Eat Me Energy Bars, 2 Arcolano Milks. These ones are really for Sakurabaru and the Hunger in terms of what it's doing. I don't believe there's any changes here, though. I'll correct myself. I did not see Merry Reunions being played, and it's cool to see that card getting some level of love. Also bringing in a Lernaean Hydra alongside the Swift Djinns, and there's 3 of the Swift Djinns, 3 of the Mighty Djinns, 3 of the Tiny Djinns, looking to get as much ramp as possible. To accompany the Sakurabu, the Hunger, and the Kaibara being the expensive hard cards to be able to get rid of as well. Let's look at their uniques. The first Aja is a 6/6/3/5/3. When played from anywhere, each player puts the top card of their deck in their mana zone. And it has another from anywhere. You may put a card from your hand in reserve. If you do, put the top 2 cards from your deck in your mana zone. This is ridiculous. A 6 ramp card. You can ramp 6 times when played after it's played twice. I don't even know what to think about that. That is amazing. And on the other side, you've got a second Aja, 6/6 for 3/3/5. And when played from anywhere, you may put a card from your hand in reserve. If you do, put the top 2 cards of your deck in your mana zone. And when I leave the expedition zone, each player puts the top card of their deck in their mana zone. So flipping it around a little bit, another 6 ramp. This is insane. I'm actually quite surprised that All of the Marvels doesn't have even more expensive cards in their build. I guess they do have Valamon, one single Valamon in there as well. Wow. And the third is a Kappa 6/6 for 3/5/6. When played from anywhere, you may put a card from your hand in reserve. If you do, guess what it does? You may put top 2 cards of your deck in your mana zone. Wow. So the ability of potentially, if you played out these 3 uniques twice, you will have the ability of ramping 6 times with one, 6 times with another, and 4 with another. 16 additional ramps if you ever make it out that far. I don't think you will. Fantastic work. No wonder you won. Let's have a look then. Legal Time is still having the issues with their updates, so next week I'm hoping to be able to upload their 3 weeks worth of stats together. So apologies on that. So we're missing the 25th of August and the 1st of September updates. That is, from what I've been advised, it's now sitting with Talm and the team at 39cards.com. And the team of 1 is usually what we look at here, unfortunately. So hopefully we can get that uploaded shortly. We are also introducing a new tournament from our guys, the Nordic team, that has set up a Road to Valhalla. Fantastic name for a tournament and an amazing looking emblem. I love Vikings, and this is just right up my alley. They introduced a single elimination tournament similar to Ace, but for the European time zone. It is a French tournament run there, and as we can see in their inaugural tournament, 46 players, really high, really good amount of players showing up. What was interesting here, though, is the breakdown of BTG cards was almost at the 70%. Normally, you don't see that. We see that down more towards the 60, with a 20% balance between Trial by Frost and Whispers from the Maze. This was won by A&T Vittorio, who won on Trayston Rossum, going through the 6 rounds, I believe, of matches and getting the win. And their Trayston Rossum build is once again looking at just 5 landmarks. It looks like the general consensus is 5 is the optimal amount to use, 1 bag out bag as opposed to more, 3 hooked, a few bug fixes, frozen deliveries. So if we're seeing bug fixes, there's potential that the uniques here have the ability of recycling and getting that loop effect in place. And let's have a look at the uniques that they've got. Surprising, only 1 Dr. Frankenstein in their build, opting for Amelia Earhart's. Surprising, because I don't think you get the benefit from the Amelia Earhart's. No, sorry, it's the Ada Lovelaces. They're also in here. With the rare. Sorry, what am I thinking? With the rare, you do get it from any card that goes in play to get the card draw. So opting for card draw that way, and the 3 frozen deliveries are also part of their build. But they're uniques, 2 monolith rune scribes. The first one being a 3/1/1/1/2. When played from hand, you may discard target permanent with hand cost 4 or more, and when a robot joins your expedition, if you control a token, you may return a card from your reserve to your hand. So this is the bug fix combo build, and all 3 of their uniques do that. The Xian Assembly Overseer 0/2/2 for 2/2 in resources. When you create a token, you may return a card from your reserve to your hand. And then the third one is the Monolith Rune Scribe 3/3 for 2/1/2. And when played from anywhere, I gain 2 boost. And on top of that, when a robot joins your expedition, if you control a token, you may return a card from your reserve to your hand. The bug fix combo, I've started to use it. I know I said I wouldn't, but it does get you a lot of wins. Not the most fun experience for your opponent, but the discussion here is if you have enough removal, then this bug fix combo will not work. You've got to get rid of this unique the moment you can get it, and if possible, discard it so it's not even able to be played from a reserve at a later time. Then that takes us then to, so once again, congratulations for Vittorio for being the inaugural winner of the Road to Valhalla tournament. And then that takes us to Ace, which is the other single elimination tournament. It looks like Tuesdays is the single elimination tournament, as hosted by Altered Corner / Kohlrabi, with 32 players joining us this week. It's nice to see this getting back up there, given last week it was a little bit lower in terms of its attendance. One thing here of note that it was won by Kojo and Buddha by a person that is new to the scene to me, Ayakanella. I haven't seen their results before, but welcome to the fold if you're new. If you haven't, I apologize if I did not recall your name beforehand, but good to see you get a win. And one of the things that stands up to me very highly, and it is just a single card of, is the Magic Slay. A single Magic Slay to get the double progression, get a little bit of advantage where they probably will not see this coming. And also including a Twinkle Twinkle, a single Twinkle Tinkle. One of the things with this deck that's a little unique to me, not sure what I think about it in terms of the way that I play, is just a single spell of everything. Mana Eruption, of course, you've got two because you get a common and a rare, but one single Duel of Grid. Is that enough interaction? Or maybe you're happy not to. Two Occlutes at the rare will allow you to interact in one way or another. You do have Haven Bouncers that can interact that way, but I'm not used to not seeing three Duel of Grits, but it worked for them, and congratulations to them. I love the ability of using the Mess and Haven Bravos Bastion. Again, light on the Bastion, high on the Arcolano Mill, though. But once again, congratulations. Let's look at the uniques they had, especially as they were playing a Hunger unique. And I'm going to start from the right this time. 8-4 for 3-1-3. And when played from hand, discard all other cards from play and reserve. When a card goes to the discard pile, I gain one boost. That is just your normal Hunger text. And when played from a reserve, if your reserve is empty, resupply. And when played from reserve, you may pay one. If you do, you may exhaust target character in reserve. Opting for that, then Gigantic. Interesting. I love the Gigantic anyway. It does it, but it's working for them. They won a tournament. Congratulations, Ayakanella. The second is an Isumboshi 2-2 for 1-2-1. When played from anywhere, you may put a card from your hand in reserve. If you do, I gain a boost. And when played from hand, if you control two or more boosted characters, draw a card. There you go. There's the draw a card element that you need a lot more of in Bravos. The third unique was a 3-2 1-2-2 Ouroboros Trickster. When played from hand and from reserve, roll a die on a 4+, 2 boost, otherwise 1 boost. And when it goes from the reserve from the Expedition Zone, if I have one or more boosts, which you always will, you get to draw a card. So there's a little bit of card draw here, but not really relying on the card draw. And that may be because they have much more characters available to them. But the strategy worked for Ayakanella, and well done on getting through and winning that. The next tournament is, as we move on to Wednesdays, is the AQZ Nook Series. No uniques available here, and it was won by Fen and Crowbar. Congratulations, Fen and Crowbar, on getting that win. Nice work for them. And what we are looking here in this build is the sleight of hand, magical training. They did include a Sap Duende, very interesting, and one single Requiem and one Cloth Cocoon. Very little removal per se. But this is your non-festival build. Nyala, interesting. Two Hatters, of course, to try to anchor anything. An Amali at the rare, so if you do have lots of cards in your reserve, you can play that out and get to draw that many cards. Nothing else that I see here that is a little bit out of the ordinary. Opting for the Ink Caster, yeah, that's what you do, so you can return one of your spells back to hand. Hathor will also return some other spells back to hand. Of course, you need to have your 3 Aloe Veras. That is a staple in any deck that can use Aloe Vera, will use Aloe Vera. So, nicely done. Congratulations to Yo2137 for getting the win in the Nook Tournament week 13 for the 3rd of September. And then we also then had our Wednesday AWOL tournament. 42 players. Once again, nice to see people coming back up. This was won by All of the Marbles. So All of the Marbles getting 2 wins, this time with an Achardian Surge that is a very interesting build. Now, one thing that I would like to do with this is, let's have a quick look. All right, sorry, I had a little bit of technical difficulty, so I'll continue this. So they've won the tournament already. All of the marbles did a couple of days earlier, and they made a couple of adjustments. So you're seeing the inclusion of a Mana Flare, the inclusion of an additional, I believe, a Swift Gen in place of what they had prior to it, keeping the same uniques. And as they're tweaking and preparing for the BGA tournament, you got to see that they kept the same uniques, but the refining, and I love seeing this. We did the same thing with when we looked at Rinku's decks a few weeks ago, as he was preparing for the World Qualifier for Dallas. That they were refining and making changes as they learned from each task, and you're seeing the same thing here in what All of the Marbles has done in this tournament. So congratulations to All of the Marbles for getting the win at AWOL, being 5-1. There were a few others, but that's the only one I'm going to highlight today. I don't normally highlight people that go 5-1. I go for the 6 and 0s. I wanted to highlight this one purely because they had won another tournament. They still topped the leader, but as I said, going forward, I will not be doing any of the anything that is not an add 0 without a loss. But that takes us to the World Qualifier in Barcelona. So Vittorio, who won a tournament earlier, won this tournament, and again they kept the exact same deck that they'd been decking. So they'd be using, in their mind, this was optimal, this was refined, and they did get the win for Barcelona. What is unfortunate news for me is I had one of my teammates, one of my good friends, in Barcelona trying to get the win. Franico Rico ended up coming equal third and fourth, losing out on his Kojo and Buddha build, but did a very good job. He was the only player to have gone undefeated in the, as far as I could recall, undefeated in the rounds, but did not get the win. That win went to Vittorio, and we've already discussed the uniques here, but it does come to show that that single Frankenstein, which I had questioned a little bit earlier ago, was the right move, given they do have the bug fix combo as their end game or end state. The second of the tournaments that was a World Qualifier was AWOL's World Qualifier for the Americas. 681 players held out over 2 days, as was Barcelona over 2 days. So one thing that you will see there is this was won by DQ Aganman, who also had won a tournament earlier in the week. Aganman had won it on Trace beforehand, but that is not what they used in the qualifier. In the qualifier, they used Fen and Crowbar, getting a victory for Fen and Crowbar, the first time that we've had a victory for Lyra. We have got someone in Lyra getting to France, but this is the first win by Lyra, and it is the first win by Fen and Crowbar, of course, leaving Muna as the sole faction that has got no wins in preparation for Worlds. Can that change? Will it change? We were going to find out. Their build is very similar to what we've seen others. Twinkle Twinkles, one single Requiem, one Cloth Cocoon, and two Sap Duende. So it's an increase in what we saw earlier from one of the other players, bringing in the two Hatters, the Amalis. But what is interesting here is the uniques that they had in play. The Flamel, so all different kinds of uniques in what they use. So the first Flamel, 4/2/4 for 3/3 in stats, and at dusk you may return a spell from your reserve to your hand. Very common. Then you've got a 2/2 Studious Disciple for 0/1/1. I gain 1 boost for each card in each player's reserve, so this is cheap. Anansi, actually same cost as Anansi, but it gives you that same effect. And the third one is an amazing Tanuki, 3/3 for 2/3/0. When played from anywhere, you may put a card from your hand in reserve. If you do, I gain 1 boost for each card in each player's reserve, so the Anansi effect. And then when I go to reserve from the Expedition Zone, you get to Sabotage. So double infectious, double issue, complete trouble for anyone that's playing it. So well done on them. And there was a third tournament that did not get much fanfare that I also wanted to break down. It was the APAC WCQ. I call this the Invitational. So they did some tournaments in Southeast Asia, the APAC region, and a number of people were invited to play a tournament from the different countries to say who is going to represent. There were 2 representations, so Stard 993 and Billy 0727 made it through. They are going to Paris, they are going to France. This was won by Sigismar and Wingspan, though Stard 993 getting the overall win. And congratulations to them on their build. And the main difference that I see here is not only are they using Gift of Self, but they're using Conjuring Seal and also adding the Monolith Ortis Bastion into their builds. Very interesting. That's a very aggressive card draw method, but also giving you the Monolith. Now, taking a turn off and then playing Monolith, maybe not, but if you have a lot of cards that are very low to the ground, you'll be able to get the benefits later on, as long as you're not playing much. They've also got 2 Jack Frosts to be able to interact, as well as the Order Spy and the Sandman to interact with your opponent. Order Accountant, only a single Order Accountant being played here as well to give the benefit of sleep, and more than likely because they have some uniques that need it. So let's look at their uniques. First one is a Kokoba Legion Commander, 3/2 for 3/3/2, and when another non-token character joins your expedition, if you control 3 or more characters, create an Ortis Recruit token in your other expedition. That will always happen because you play the Kokoba. Since you have your token out already, the next one becomes your third. The second one is a 3/3 Ortis Cadet for 2/2/0. When another non-token character joins your expedition, if you control 3 or more characters, create an Ortis Recruit 1/1/1 soldier token in your hero expedition. And at dusk, you may sacrifice a character. If you do, you may discard target permanent. That's actually really good to be able to discard a permanent if you want to. So if you're winning an expedition by a lot, then you can get rid of one of your tokens. Because they are also considered characters in that case. The third one is a Fire Rabbit, and really nice art there for 3/1 for 1/0/0. When played from hand, you may have me again fleeting. If you do, create an Ortis Recruit soldier token in your companion expedition. Also, when played from hand, characters you control gain 1 boost. Lovely. And when played from reserve, if you control a token, I gain 1 boost. That is not bad. It's a little bit expensive from hand for its effect, but to be able to give a boost to every character as a last card you play is fantastic. And that, ladies and gentlemen, takes us to the end of the week and the tournament recap. We have gone through a lot of WCQ qualifiers, the world qualifiers, in the last few weeks. Congratulations to all the winners, and also to all the winners for the online tournaments. And on that, I'm Chili, and I will see you next week.